today I thought I would do a video all about one of my goal areas. Last vlog I did was all about my health and my journey in my health and my fitness. And this week I would talk about one of my other goal areas around spiritual and why I chose this one. Because I think it's a topic that not many people talk about. I don't think people necessarily share their faith or what that means to them or are necessarily open about it. That's why I thought I would share my journey in my kind of spiritual life area and why I think it is important to concentrate on this area if you feel that you're not fulfilled in that area, whether you do have faith or you actually don't have a belief in any kind of God or any faith, and why I still think spiritual area applies. So to start off, I thought I would talk about my background. So I am from Scotland. I grew up, my family didn't really go to church. My grandparents went to church on Sundays, but not my parents or my immediate family. So growing up, we never really attended church every week. But during the school holidays, I used to go to the church school camps and attend the daily groups that were going on from a young age. And so it was always instilled in me, the Christian faith, because we were part of the Church of Scotland. So I always had that connection there. And our school, I grew up in a small little village in Edinburgh, and so we were also quite connected to the church as part of that little village. And during the pivotal times of the year, like Easter and Christmas, we would attend the services. And I think at Christmas time we used to sing hymns and carols at the church as part of our school groups. So it was always something that we grew up with. And I think assemblies every week at school, we did hymns as well. So there was always that there. There was always the faith in the background, but it was never something that I really kind of attached to or really felt within me or a need to be spiritually connected until I became a teenager. And when I was a teenager and I was in high school, I kind of flitted around different friendship groups and had multiple different close friendships and best friends, but they never really kind of stuck. And I also got bullied in high school, and so for me, when I started my spiritual journey, it was more from a need of just wanting something to kind of have that control, and I guess to look for something that was comforting. And a couple of my friends went to church and they went to a youth group, so I went along to that. And I really loved it. I loved that kind of friendship that was brought around the church. The people were super friendly, and it felt like a good place, a safe place to go where I could connect with other people my age, but also with adults who were kind of there for you in the sense that they were kind of open and inviting and warm and friendly. And I really loved going to the youth groups, and it kind of fostered that sense of community, which I never really felt in my school because I never really had those type of really close, good friendships. And like I say, I didn't have the best relationships with being bullied as well. So for me, there was that kind of safeness and that comfort of being part of something else that did have that good, safe, positive environment for me to be in. And I kind of, in the beginning, used it more for friendship and something to do, as opposed to really connecting to the faith itself. Until maybe a couple of years in, I started actually making the commitment to go to church. Now, like I say, my parents didn't go to church, or any other members of my family, really, apart from my grandparents, who went to the church in my village that was very much, you sat down, hymns, listen to a sermon and go. Whereas this church was very more youth friendly and had more of a band that played, and it was very more modern and contemporary. So I kind of fitted more in there and really enjoyed it. And I decided to go to that church on a Sunday. I told my mom, I remember saying to her, I really want to go to church, I'm going today. And I know that my stepsisters used to come at the weekend. So me making that decision, that statement to be like, no, I'm attending church, was like a big part of my independence and my step as the oldest sibling to say this is what I am doing. But it was something for me and I needed it, and it was something that I knew that I wanted. And so I started going to church and started going to the Sunday youth groups after the sermons. And I started to really think about my faith and really get involved in the church. And I started to build that connection and that faith with God and that relationship with God. And I really felt like my journey just kind of grew from there in my spiritual life area. And I attended the Alpha course, and I then kind of went on to even work as a youth leader in the church. And I then worked with little kids on the Sundays and got involved with away days and things like that. And it was one of the best times in my life. I really enjoyed it. I met really amazing people. Some of them I'm still in touch with, others I've lost touch with as I have emigrated to South Africa. But it was something, it's one part of my life that I really love and cherish from when I was younger. Then as I grew up, I met my husband when I was only 19, and I moved out of the village into town, and I kind of lost my connection with the church. Not with my faith, it was always there, but I certainly lost it with the church that I was with, because I now lived outside of the area, and I had a new relationship, and I'd still finishing university and starting a whole corporate career. So I kind of fell away from attending church and going to the church, but it was always something that was there for me. Now, since moving to South Africa, I have been making it a priority recently to really get back into my connection and my faith. So I would say that there was probably about 5 to 6 years where I stopped really going to church. Then I emigrated, and I've been here now for like another 5 years. So there's been probably a good 11 years of not attending church, which is actually, when I say it, is a long time. And growing up, I probably had the faith in the background for my 19 years, and for maybe about 7 of that I actually went to church. But now I feel like there's a big gap of time. It's always been there. I've been doing prayer, I've been listening to podcasts from my old church. I've still had a connection there. I've just never attended church. And so at the start of the year, I made spiritual area of my life a main focal point. And so, like I've said in my previous vlogs, I kind of made milestones and parts of my goal all around trying to build my relationship with God and my faith. And I'm really trying to make that a daily kind of habit. So I'm praying daily, I'm reading my Bible, I've got plans on, I read the Bible app, which is quite nice because there's actual plans in there, so it gets you kind of closer into the scripture. So I've really been enjoying that, and still listening to podcasts. I'm really trying to get back in touch with the churches that I've been a part of, and the churches here, because they also produce podcasts, my local one here. So I'm trying to get into that. And then hopefully when we've moved, because we're actually selling our house and moving to another area here in Cape Town, so then I'm thinking I'm going to make that plan to find a church and start attending, because I think it's important. I don't think when you are of faith that you have to go to church. I don't believe that personally, because some churches push their own agendas. I've heard that from so many people who have attended church who are Christians in the past, or people who are actually no longer say they are of faith because they've experienced a negative experience in churches. And I think it sometimes boils down to the church that fosters the right environment and the right attitude towards faith. I think there's a lot of interpretations when it comes to faith, and people use it in the wrong way. And so you do have to be mindful of that, and that's something that I'm mindful of. I did have an amazing church back in Scotland, but I know that might not be mirrored here, and therefore I have to explore that and realise what's right for me. But I feel for anybody it's important to have that connection with God. If you are of faith, I do think it is important, and you don't have to go to church to grow your faith and to have a relationship with God, but it's something to definitely to work on, because I certainly find personally that when I do make a point of focusing on my faith, I feel better as a person. I feel more positive. I feel like my behavior and my actions come from a better place. I feel my mind is a lot more kind of healthy, and I feel better within myself. I feel like my soul is more content when I've had that connection there, and I've actually been actively working in my faith. So I do think it's important. And if you aren't of faith, I know this is very my journey, my experience, but like I said at the beginning of this video, you don't have to have faith or believe in God to work on your spiritual area. Being spiritual is also about having that connection with your soul and being able to have that time for you, whether it's to spend some time in nature in a quiet place, whether it's to do some meditation, to just work out what makes you happy, make sure you're living your life with purpose and getting in tune with who you are and your soul identity and your purpose. I think that, and your values, I think that's really important to always take a check on that and to work on that and make sure that you are living your authentic self. And I think when you work on that spiritual area, you get that sense of feeling, that sense of peace, that sense of contentment within that area. So I do think it is important to work on that, whatever you believe in. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today. Give it a thumbs up if you've liked it. Share with me in your comments if you're of faith, if you're a Christian, or any other denomination or faith. Let me know, and tell me about your journey and what maybe you've struggled with, or what your challenges are, or what your standpoint is. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you have any other questions for me, please feel free to ask. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks everyone. Goodbye.